Jim Carroll, Ralph Baber, psychology takeaway. You need a dose of the real. Life's absurd. We know the deal. Did you hear? Don't let it get you down. Turn that frown. Upside down, down, upside.
Hi there, this is Jim,
And Ralph.
and we welcome you back to Psychology Takeaway, the podcast where we look at interesting, sometimes new things in psychology and try to make them relevant to you today and to ourselves.
And sometimes we do. And it's always a good feeling to succeed at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jim, let me ask you, today we're going to be talking, further extending our talk on sleep.
Correct.
We're going to be talking specifically about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that there's a couple of things that have come out in recent research, let's say in the last 4 or 5 years. Sleep and dreams have a number of purposes. And one of the purposes of dreams, first of all, is maybe guarding the brain.
Okay.
Okay.
So protecting the brain,
Protecting the brain.
getting rid of the flotsam and jetsam of the day, and sort of sweeping it away.
Yeah.
That's an old view, but yes, that's one view.
Dreams protect the visual cortex. So specifically, from being taken over by other senses in the night, because we can still hear, even though our eyes are closed, we can still feel. So those things might overwhelm our visual cortex in the night.
Okay.
So that's one way. Automatic signaling. The regular midbrain fires into the visual cortex. So we could say that's another protection. Practicing life is another theory, the social stimulation space. So we're practicing life by projecting some of our experiences into our dreams.
That's kind of interesting, Ralph. You mentioned, new stuff coming up in dreams. Here's the monitor from, a month or so ago. It says, the new science of sleep. You know how much space was devoted to dreams in here?
No,
None.
none.
So
Okay.
They were
So,
not talking about any kind of advantage of dreaming. And yet we know that dreams have long been a part of humankind.
yeah.
You go back into the Bible, the Christian Bible, and particularly in the book of Genesis, we see lots and lots of people visited by nighttime mentation, i.e., dreams.
Dreams, yeah.
One guy saw angels descending and ascending on a ladder. Somebody, was told by Abraham, I think it was told by God to go someplace where he'd never been before. And a bunch of dreams. So it goes back a long way. And so people have always thought that there must be something to dreaming, other than the, physiological functions that you talked about.
Yeah, and so, dreams mix sort of memories, current worries, social context like global events. They all become a melange that is put together in strange ways in dreaming. And so sometimes you say, oh, I had a weird dream last night. It doesn't make any sense. Well, it's fed by a number of sources in previous or anticipated future experiences. So it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, trying to make sense out of some dreams is just futile.
Well, but that's the thing about we human beings. We are pattern makers, and we see patterns even in random kinds of things. And people have been trying to interpret these dreams, these nighttime meditations, for quite a while, for a long time. I have some famous quotes here about dreams. The one that I think we all know was Martin Luther King. I had a dream. Now, I don't know if he had a dream or that was a metaphor, but here's John Lennon. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope that someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Now, that's a great notion of a dream, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that, while I disagree with a number of the socialist political movement right now, I do believe very firmly that having an ideal of a peaceful world society is a good thing.
Yeah. What are the options, Ralph?
Well, the options are things we're living out in today's world.
Yeah, no, the options are even worse than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you'd be living under a rock, I think.
Yeah.
I had a dream last night.
Okay.
Okay, now I've had lots of dreams, and I remember most of them, or a lot of them. You don't remember many of your dreams.
No, I don't. I know because I know that everybody dreams. Many of them vanish. Now, I have started trying consciously when I first wake up to recall my dreams, and I'm doing more of that.
Yeah, well, actually, if you prime yourself to remember your dreams, you will remember them more, more to say accurately, I'm not sure, but you'll remember them, and you'll be able to report them. We went to our coffee shop this morning. We did our usual morning survey, and let's see, we had 1, 2, 3 people in the shop, right?
Right.
And how many of them remembered their dreams?
None.
None.
And how many of them said they thought they dreamed last night? None.
Yep.
So, even though we know, because we've done sleep studies and found that everybody dreams, most people, it seems, are not good at remembering
Recalling them. Yep. And another quote here, see if I can, by Eleanor Roosevelt. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Well, the manager said she thought that only unhappy people dreamt, right?
Yeah.
And again, I don't think we have any evidence to suggest that either. But
No, I think there are people who have happy dreams more than unhappy ones.
well, although there are some, nightmares and falling dreams and things like that. And we'll get to my nightmare in a while today. We've been promising people that one. So,
Okay.
but here's the setup for last night and this morning. All through the night, I think I had a series of dreams that had the same content.
Okay.
And I've never had this kind of dream before. It was swimming pool dreams.
Okay.
And sometimes the pool was full of water, and I was in the pool sometimes. Sometimes I was on the edge of the pool looking in, and sometimes the pool was empty, and I was sometimes in the pool, the empty pool, and sometimes I was on the edge. Sometimes I was alone, and sometimes there were people who were recognizable to me. You were not there, Ralph.
Okay.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but
Well, yeah. But so this morning, I sat down at my computer and I typed in to chat. I said, "Chat, I had this series of dreams last night." I dreamt, and I told them what the dreams were. I said, "Why don't you write a story for me?" Jim Carroll walks into a bar with Freud, Jung, and Adler. And Chat liked that. Chat chuckled away and said, "Oh, good story, Jim." And so he went on to generate a little 3-page story about Jim and the dreams and the swimming pool and Freud, Jung, and Adler. And why did I choose those guys? Well, Freud's 1909 book, Interpretation of Dreams, was sort of the culmination of a lot of speculation about dreams over the last several hundred years. So Freud says, Oh, my dear Carol, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. Then he goes on to say, well, the swimming pool is, that's the unconscious, and you're flailing around in it, and that's you're being, the unconscious is assailing you or something in some way like that. And he said at the end, and if we haven't got to sex, we just haven't dug too far, far enough yet.
Okay, well, if you dig in a swimming pool, you're going to create lots of problems.
Yeah. And Jung says, oh, Sigmund, we all start out on a different journey, but we all end up at the same place.
Okay.
I thought that was, for a psychologist, that's high humor. Okay. So Jung says, no, the swimming pool is the collective unconscious. That's all of the stuff that mankind has dumped into civilization over the last billion years. And Carol, you're just trying to figure it out. Sometimes you're in it, and sometimes you've pulled away from it. And, what you're attempting to do is find meaning in your life. To which Adler says, you boys are both crazy. Carol's dream had nothing to do with repression and the unconscious, and nothing to do with the collective unconscious. It had to do with the problems that Carol was going to have to solve the next day. Huh? Yeah, well, he's going to be doing a broadcast or a podcast on sleep and dreams. And so he needs some dreams in order to be able to talk about them. It's quite simple. Dreams have a practical way of pushing us toward something that is necessary, something needed. Now, you talked about this on the ride over here today, Ralph.
Yeah. And it is suggested that our unconscious is knitting up what we know, what we think, what we anticipate for tomorrow or a problem a week off. But we're trying to work on that through our unconsciousness in sleep.
Mm-hmm. So an Adlerian perspective there, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're saying, okay, how do I protect myself when the boss causes me to come in on Friday and he's going to do an evaluation?
Mm-hmm. So a protective or a problem-solving approach to sleep.
Yeah.
Now, Stephen Labarge has a different notion about sleep and dreams. He talks about lucid dreaming. That's when we know we're dreaming and we can control those dreams.
Okay.
And I think I knew I was dreaming last night, but I did not have any desire to control the dreams. But why might you want to control a dream? Well, suppose you had a recurring dream where you were on the edge of a cliff and you fell off. And you're like Wile E. Coyote and you're going straight down. Well, you might, waking up would be one way of handling it. But another way of handling it, and I've done this, is to stop in midair, so you're like this, right yourself, and then you can begin to drift around.
Okay.
And you're in control of your dream.
Okay.
So
that's an example of lucid dreaming where you don't seize, but you kind of take control.
Yeah.
Now,
another idea that Labarge has said is that, if you had unfinished business, say with a loved one, a father or a mother, you could, when you dream about them, stop the dream and begin to engage in conversations with those people. So really very, very different way of approaching a dream.
Yeah. And so the question, I guess, and I don't know that we have anything that really suggests an answer to the question, but the question is, can you take any dream and turn it into a lucid dream? And I think the answer is a qualified maybe.
I think that's about as good as we're going to get with that one, yeah.
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 But one of the things that some people have said is they feel more often they dream lucid dreams than they dream random dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people say that. Whether that's enough to qualify that many people have found the key to lucid dreaming, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, certainly people say that they think that the dreams that they do have are important in some way. They're foretelling dreams or warning dreams or relationship kinds of dreams that somehow they do have an important impact. And that gets us to a particular kind of dream, Ralph, the nightmare.
And maybe finally we can hear Jim's recurring nightmare
Of killing Emily.
of killing Emily.
Well, this was back in high school. And you remember, Ralph, that growing up in the Sioux, we knew nothing about psychology.
No.
I mean, we nothing. There were no psychologists in the town, and things like id ego, super ego, unconscious. We had not a clue. So my friend Ray had a girlfriend, and her name was Emily. And Emily was beautiful. She was talented. She was creative. She was smart. Everything that you and I weren't.
Yes.
Yes. And
a couple of nerds.
yeah, right. And Emily and Ray broke up. And Emily didn't live far away from me. And we'd often walk to school together. Ah, yes. Back in the day, people actually walked to school.
What a concept.
Well, before cars were invented.
Yeah.
And so when they broke up, I made my affections known to Emily, and we started to date.
Okay.
Okay. And I liked Emily. Emily was bright. She was witty. She was smart. She was beautiful. I really liked Emily.
Okay.
Okay. And I began to dream of Emily, which was, I guess my daytime fantasy coming into my nighttime mentation. But I remember 3 nights in a row I had the same dream. And they
Okay.
say that if you have a recurring dream, it's somehow important. Okay. Now, I didn't know this at the time. Here's the dream. I'm driving my father's car. That would be a 1957 Ford Fairlane, I think.
Okay.
And Emily's beside me. It's nighttime, and we'd gone to a dance or something like that. And we were driving out in the country, and she snuggled in, and I'm looking over at her, and I love Emily, and I get to that big curve north of the Sioux,
Okay.
where near Island Lake.
I know it.
Okay, where the railroad tracks cross the road.
Right.
Okay, I stop in the middle of the railroad tracks. I get out, stand back a few, 100 yards, and I watch as the Algoma Central nighttime train smashes into my father's Ford Fairlane, killing Emily.
Okay.
But I loved Emily. I thought she was a great kid. So that was a disturbing dream. So the next night,
Next night.
I went to sleep, and I had the same dream. Same place in the road, getting out, train, hitting the car, killing Emily.
Okay.
3rd night in a row, guess what?
Same dream.
Yeah, same dream. Now, we, you and I did not know anything about psychology. I certainly didn't know anything. But it occurred to me that somehow that was an important dream. Something was happening in my daytime life that I was getting warned about in the dream.
Okay.
Now,
So a warning dream. So you could say this is the impending future.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. But somehow this notion of Emily and me really liking her and me ending up, killing her in the dream was disturbing to me. So I started to think the next day about the relationship that Emily and I had. When we dated, when we went out, we talked about lots of different things. And who do you think we talked about most?
Your friend who first,
My friend Ray.
yeah,
Yeah. And I was spending a lot of time talking to Emily about, Ray and I were still friends, and I was talking to her about what was going on with Ray, and sort of I was a conduit between she and he, and I didn't realize that at the time, and I guess I felt in some way like I was being used, and I guess that was the genesis of the dream.
okay.
So I talked to Emily, and I told her about the dream, and I said, I don't think we should. We can be friends, but I don't think we should date, anymore. That's, and we didn't. We broke up. I still liked Emily, but we didn't date. And guess what about the dreams?
They came
They
true in
Well,
one sense.
they never recurred again.
Yeah, but I think you have said at one point to me that after you broke up with Emily, she went back and started dating Ray again.
I think that's true. Yeah.
So
Yes.
maybe in one sense you were saying, okay, I'm being used here as a conduit and I don't like it and I don't like dreaming about killing Emily. So we're going to break up. But having lost you as the conduit, she chose to do what she wanted to do maybe all the way. So your subconscious mind was warning you.
Thank you, Dr. Freud.
Yes.
Jim Carroll, Ralph Baber, psychology takeaway. You need a dose of the real. Life's absurd. We know the deal. Did you hear? Don't let it get you down. Turn that frown. Upside down, down, down.
And that is
Keep your stick on the ice.
because we're all in this
Together.